Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller. It is a gorgeous Tuesday across Charlottesville, Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world. We are live on the I Love CVille Network, and it's a great program lined up for you. Judah's going to get these screens lined up for us here in a matter of moments. A lot we need to cover on today's program. Governor Ralph Northam is going to make an announcement today at 2 o'clock about schools and the reopening in the Commonwealth. We're going to follow that closely. Virginia Tech and its football program, its athletic department, have made an official announcement when it comes to fall football in Blacksburg. And again, Virginia Tech winning the optics and communication game when compared to its in-state rival, the University of Virginia. We have a restaurant group, boys and girls, in downtown Charlottesville that is creating a fabulous food hall and beer garden concept. That story for you on the I Love CVille Show. We're going to catch up with our good friend James Watson. And this morning I asked James Watson, a leader in this community, how did you handle personally the murder of George Floyd, and what did you tell your children? He gave a compelling perspective that we're going to share with you on today's show. We are an advertising agency. As of this morning, 112 clients on our roster from New Providence, New Jersey to Asheville, North Carolina. Most of them in the Commonwealth. We love working with businesses like Intrastate, pest and service companies. Intrastate is a home's best friend. 4 generations of family behind Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. I've seen, while working alongside this family-owned business, how much they care about their team members. And when you care so much about your team members, you know you're going to have a lot of care for your customers. Dr. Wagner making big-time things happen as well. Scott Wagner, chiropractic and sports medicine. Whether it's physical therapy, chiropractic care, or sports medicine, Dr. Wagner is changing people's lives. Now, I'm going to tease a little bit of breaking news. We have some big-time things coming to Scott Wagner and his brand. Big-time things. Judah Wickhauer is our director of the program. We're going to welcome, in T-minus 19 minutes, Rachel Gendreau is going to join us, and Laura Price. They are management with Bizou, with LUCE, and with Bang Tapas. Those 3 brands, Bizou, LUCE, and Bang Tapas, owned by the same management team. This restaurant group, massive innovation in downtown Charlottesville. Beer garden, food hall on private property. City Hall's not going to help. City Council has no entrepreneurial vision. They're not going to help stimulate locally. The group takes matters into their own hands. And us, the community, us, the diners, we are going to rally and explode around this food hall concept in downtown Charlottesville. I love this. Now, I encourage everyone watching today's show to hit the like button right now. Share the show. 3 of us work very hard on this program, and all we ask in return is if you like and share the show. Judah Wickhauer, my friend, let's run some headlines. Let's start, and give me the thumbs up when it's on screen. The governor of Virginia expected to address reopening of Virginia schools today at 2 p.m. at his bi-weekly news conference. I don't know about you, and if you're watching the version of the show, look at the screen now. I don't know about you, but this is when I'm going to feel even more confident with how we're managing COVID-19. On today's date, we're in early June, I feel a sense of confidence. Why I do is because I understand that Charlottesville and Central Virginia is being safe, is managing social distancing, and wearing masks. As a result, we've seen the Thomas Jefferson Health District and its data dashboard have very promising statistics that shows Charlottesville and Central Virginia is managing this epidemic well. Right? Now, my level of confidence will go to a completely different level, ladies and gentlemen, when we get to schools opening again. We have a flu season that we go through, and we realize, and you can take that off screen if it's still on, Judah, and we realize that our kids have gone through a flu season, it's been managed well, we may have a second spike, but we get through it. That's what I'm going to really feel confident when we have COVID-19 figured out. When we get into the fall and kids are in their elementary schools or in their middle schools or in their high schools, they're rubbing germs all over themselves, they're putting their hands in their mouths, they're going to the locker, touching the lockers, the books, they're not washing their hands, they're not managing social distancing, they're up in each other's space like kids like to be. When we get through a flu season with schools reopening, I'm going to feel a lot more confident with COVID-19, although I'm confident right now. We're going to watch closely at 2 p.m. as Governor Ralph Northam offers some perspective on what we can expect for schools across the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'm very excited about that. I'd like to go to our second headline today on the I Love CVille show. And Judah, the second headline is Virginia Tech football. If you can put up the headline from the Roanoke Times, my friend. Virginia Tech has straight up said you can expect limited crowds in the stands this fall. I took this as a cautious optimist, as a glimmer of hope. Virginia Tech, the university, released a detailed plan on Monday from classes all the way down to athletics. We covered the classes yesterday. Now the focus on athletics. A limited stadium, limited attendance. They are trying to make the push for Virginia Tech football to have fans in the stands in Blacksburg. It's not going to be a capacity lane stadium. It's going to be a limited capacity lane stadium. That is a glimmer of hope. As a cautious optimist, as someone who understands the value of college athletics for a small community like Blacksburg or Charlottesville, Virginia. And boys and girls, if Virginia Tech is going on the record and Virginia Tech's athletic department is saying, look, limited attendance, we need to get a limited training season going in mid-July. That's one of our main goals is mid-July to get some training going. You can't just play football being off all year and say, all right, we'll flip the switch and a day later you're going toe-to-toe against Notre Dame in the opener. That's not how it works. You have to train to be able to smash bodies for an entire football game on the gridiron. So here's what we know, and here's the glimmer before we go to the next story. Virginia Tech's athletic department is making the push for limited attendance at Lane Stadium this fall. Good news. Virginia Tech said it really wants its training camp to begin in mid-July. Although it's a limited training camp, it's going to allow our team members, our players, to get in the shape they need to compete at a very high Division I level. Good news. Now, how does it apply to us? How does it apply to us in Charlottesville? How does it apply to Central Virginia? If Virginia Tech is going on the record and saying limited attendance at Lane Stadium, training camp beginning in July, they obviously know something. They're not going to go on the record making a comment like this unless they know something's happening. So as a Wahoo fan, as someone who bleeds orange and blue, and someone who understands the city of UVA and the magnitude that the university has and the athletic department have on our community, I see this as a glimmer of hope that Virginia Tech is going to try to start training camp in July and is saying we want limited attendance in Lane Stadium this fall. That means the wheels must be turning in the Atlantic Coast Conference for the remainder of the schools in the ACC as we get to kickoff at the end of August or early September across the Mid-Atlantic and up the eastern seaboard of the ACC and the Atlantic Coast Conference. UVA, and I'm going to emphasize it yet again, is losing the optics or communications game. We've had every brand and every institution, and I went to UVA, and I love UVA, and there's nothing better than I enjoy than going to Scott Stadium on a Saturday, having a couple of bourbons, having a couple of Minutemen, having some fried chicken, some potato salads, some baked beans, and the baked beans have got to have the bacon in it. If you're giving me baked beans and it doesn't have the lards of bacon in it that I can chew on along with the baked beans, don't give me the baked beans. There's nothing I would rather do than have some larded bacon, baked beans, a couple of Angels Envies, a couple of Minutemen, and some fried chicken and walk into Scott Stadium. That being said, my job is to hold folks accountable and to showcase transparency or accountability or positivity or something that needs to improve. Obviously, the PR department at the University of Virginia, obviously, the people that are calling the media game and the press game at the University of Virginia do not care about winning the optics battle or the communication battle. Because we've heard next to nothing. We've heard a lot from Liberty. We've heard a lot from VCU. We've heard a lot from JMU. We've heard a lot from Virginia Tech. We have not heard much from the University of Virginia. So the positive is this: Virginia Tech, limited attendance in the fall. Training camp mid-July. There has to be a direct correlation with Virginia Tech and the UVA football team. The wheels are turning in the ACC about getting this season started again. I think that's safe to say. Now, we have a loaded show with you from a guest standpoint. And Judah, I want to get to the James Watson sizzle reel here. Before we get to two fabulous general managers from Bizou, LUCE, and Bang Tapas, and Rachel and Laura, they're going to join us live via Skype to talk about this phenomenal food hall, beer garden concept that's going down in downtown Charlottesville. City Council didn't have the vision to do it. City Council didn't have the business mindset to do it. So private citizens are now doing it on their own accord. We'll spotlight that journey on the show. Before we do, Judah, I want to get to James Watson. Give me a thumbs up if you have that sizzle reel ready to go. Okay. James Watson, a friend of this program, joined myself and the distinguished gentleman Keith Smith on another show we have on our network, and that show is called Real Talk. It's powered by the Yes Team Realtors. It airs Tuesdays at 10:15 a.m. and Fridays at 10:15 a.m., 2 days a week. It spotlights real estate, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. On today's show, we had James Watson on, and I asked him, James, you're a leader in Charlottesville. You have children that you love dearly, and you have some history on the side from seeing how America has handled race relations. What were your personal perspective on the murder of George Floyd? Judah, get this ready. His take, super compelling. A man in Charlottesville, Virginia. Here's how our community is thinking and what they have to say. James Watson, Judah, in 3, 2, and 1. George Floyd's murder to you, what it meant to you. I'm a father who's got a 2-year-old that looks up to fathers like you who have more experience than me. How did you have that communication or that conversation with your kids, or did you? And then the third part of the question is a town we love in Charlottesville, Virginia, has had protests that have been impactful, peaceful, but incredibly impactful. Your thoughts on Charlottesville, Virginia, and how it's handled it. So it's 3 parts. The murder for you, how you had the conversation with your children, and your thoughts on Charlottesville, Virginia, and how it's handled it as a community. And this is a sizzle reel undoubtedly waiting to happen.
Well, I don't know, man. You're giving me a lot to work with here. I'll start out with Charlottesville. I think Charlottesville has been doing a great job in the response. Everything has been peaceful. I think that, August 12th, we had, I'd say 98% of the people that came here weren't from here. That does not mean that we didn't have people from here or that went to school here that came here and caused a problem. But I think those guys got on the internet and started to recruit people here. And it was very much like a film festival that we would have here. They were really professional in their marketing, and they got a whole bunch of people to come here and really traumatize us, right, and put our city in a bad light. So I think what you've seen the last few days and the last week is the real Charlottesville. And I love the fact that all folks are getting out, black, white, everybody's coming out, different socioeconomic spectrums, kids, and it's all peaceful. George Floyd, when you're a black parent, right, and you're raising kids, you're continually preparing your kids for what may happen in the future. Now, obviously, I'm probably in the upper middle class, and so are you guys. But the difference is, so my kids will get all the opportunities, the best schools, and there's food on the table. We don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff. But with my child and your child, are out playing and my child leaves a little bit early to go home, if he makes a shortcut across somebody's lawn, even in my own neighborhood, potentially, and somebody feels that he shouldn't be there and they call the police, I'm never assured that that cop is not going to pull out a gun over my child, you know, who looks just like Trayvon Martin. You know, I have no assurance that my child is going to come home safely. And so that's one of my, you know, that's a big ongoing challenge that, you know, here we are in 2020. I was in high school when Rodney King was beat on TV. That was 30 years ago. I think that was 30 years ago. That was 30 years after King had marched. So King was marching almost 60 years ago, and we're still dealing with the same thing. So, you know, you're always, unfortunately, having to arm your kids. You know, my kids don't believe that all police are bad. I don't believe all police are bad. But there's 2%, right? If you take any group of people anywhere, if you take 100 people, there's always going to be 2% of bad apples that are causing a problem. But, you know, it's going to take a lot of work. You know, race is the most sensitive, difficult, ugly point of American history, right? And I think that there's a whole lot that we haven't unpacked. There's a lot of baggage. You know, sometimes it feels like things are getting better, right? If Barack Obama was elected. But in reality, I heard somebody say this one day, if I was to go out and work on my car, which I don't do because I don't have any automotive skills, but if I was to go out and change my oil on a 90-degree day, I'd be sweating the whole time. And then when I come in my house and my wife say, hey, let's go downtown and get some food, and I put on nice clothes, I put on a shirt like this, but I don't take a shower. On the outside, I may look beautiful. I might look, you know, oh, this guy's dapper, but I'm still stinking on the inside, right? Because I've been fixing that car all day. I didn't take a shower. And I think there's a lot of that in America. You know, on the outside, at times, everything appears to be going well. I think overall, it is way better than when my parents were coming up in the 60s or 50s and 60s. But we have a lot of issues we've got to work out. And until we work those issues out, I think we're going to keep seeing, unfortunately, these types of events. You know, that man had his knee on the gentleman's neck, on Floyd's neck, for 8 minutes with a camera. Like, hey, I'm not going to get in trouble. You know, it wasn't even like there was a fight going on. Hey, I landed on top of you, and then this is what. No, 8 minutes, and other people stood there. So one of the things, real quick, I don't want to keep going on and on, but I signed up to be part of the Charlottesville Civilian Police Review Board. Losing my voice. And so that's what I'm trying, because people say, well, what are you trying to do? You're on a show, you're talking, yada, 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 you live in a nice house. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm part of the Charlottesville Police. Through doing that, we can work with them to at least locally begin to correct this problem.
I have tremendous respect for anyone who goes on a talk. We're live on 12 different Facebook pages, and the show lives forever on the internet. Our analytics show over 253,000 unique IP addresses visit our network in subcapacity from Jan 1 to December 31. A little over 253,000, backed by analytics. You have to have, like, not only courage to come on a talk show, but to have a vulnerable, raw, authentic discussion that still to this day is awkward for some, is courageous. And I salute James Watson for that. And I want to put some things in perspective, because I've been thinking about what James had to say. I've been thinking about Charlottesville over the last couple of weeks. I've been thinking about Richmond, Virginia. I've been thinking about Minneapolis, Minnesota, the murder of a man I've been thinking about. And I remember when I launched this business 12 years ago. Launched this company 12 years ago on May 31st, 2008, in a recession. I had $32,000, all the money I had, in a bank account. Put it into the company. Didn't get any clients, no business for like 7 months. I didn't have an office. I was eating ramen noodles. I was drinking Natural Light, and I love craft beer. But I had no money, so I went with Natty Light. I was going to the McDonald's and ordering a double cheeseburger from the dollar menu because I had no money, and I knew the protein from a double cheeseburger would tie me over. When I wasn't doing that, I was going to the Panda Garden Buffet by Lambeth Field, right before Barracks Road on Emmett. It's not there anymore. And I'd bring Ziploc bags with me to the Panda Garden Buffet, and when folks weren't looking, I'd scrape the Chinese food off the plate and put it in the Ziploc bag so I'd have a meal or two later, and I'd also give it to my dog, Lucy. That's how tight money was. And I'm going to bring this back to James. I had the tremendous fortune of launching my business in coffee shops and in a hotel lobby across Charlottesville. Whether it was Cafe Cubano, I often went to the Panera Bread and Barracks Road Shopping Center in 2008 because they had free Wi-Fi. I went to the lobby at the Omni Hotel. Coffee shops or hotel lobbies is where I was meeting clients or trying to set up shop and figure out how to start a company. And I would literally spend like $3.75 for a cup of coffee because I had no money. And that $3.75 purchase, I justified in my mind that I was entitled to sit in this table with my computer and my notepads for 8 hours and try to launch a business. And I've been thinking about George Floyd and what James Watson had to say. Would I have had the same opportunity to launch a business in coffee shops and hotel lobbies for 8 hours a day with the purchase of only a $4 cup of coffee? Would I have had the same opportunity to do that if I was black? Maybe not. I think that's a microcosm of this concept called white privilege that is taken for granted. I'm able to launch a business in the lobby of the Omni and in coffee shops and in eateries across Charlottesville because I have no money to rent an office, I have no money for food, and all I do is I pay for a cup of coffee and stay there for 8 hours. Would I have been able to do that if I was a black man? Maybe not. Conversations need to be had. It's the first step. The next step is action. Judah, I'm going to reach out to Rachel and to Laura now. In fact, it's Skyping as we speak. I'm giving you a heads up, Judah Wickower. He's our fabulous director. And we have him on the line. If we could give you a heads up. What's up, guys? We will go to you 1 second. Judah's going to give us the thumbs up that you guys are live. You guys are live. You're live on 12 different Facebook pages. You ladies immediately have made the show look much more attractive. Two beautiful ladies here on today's program.
Hey, Jerry.
I'm going to get out of your way. Why don't we start with you, Rachel, since you and I have been going back and forth email. Introduce yourself, introduce Laura, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty.
Sounds great. I'm Rachel Gendreau. I'm the general manager of Bizou restaurant as well as LUCE, which is a fairly new little pasta joint on the corner of the 2nd Street crossover on the mall. And this is Laura Price, my dear friend and colleague. And she's the general manager of Bang, as well as the space downtown, which is our big multi-use private event space right on Water Street.
I love it. So they have 3 fabulous restaurants. We love the meatloaf at Bizou. There's nothing more romantic than having a martini or a cocktail behind Bang. Literally some of the best brands in Charlottesville's restaurant scene, these ladies are helping run. So Laura, I'm going to throw this to you here. Give us some insight into the dynamic of the restaurant group. There's a lot of different brands kind of under one umbrella, and you guys are trying to optimize potential synergies here to survive. I'm going to get out of your way on that topic.
Well, Bang has always been about the experience, and whether that be coming in for drinks or coming in for tapas, it's always just been a very fun, dynamic experience. We are opening for patio seating starting tonight. We are really excited about that. We are following social distancing recommendations and a lot of precautionary measures. But we are so excited to have our patrons come back and be able to see them back in here and not just picking up takeout.
Amen. I cannot wait to have a martini at Bang with my wife. I'm going to throw this to you. You have, from what I can count now, 19 different restaurant owners watching you guys on this interview. Rachel, I'm going to get to you here. If you could put the graphic on screen, Judah, that Rachel sent to us, it was such a good image for us to understand what they're trying to do. Give us this idea. I want to applaud you guys for the innovation, for the guts to do this. I am so impressed. Just give us the X's and O's from start to finish of how this concept was born.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think first and foremost right now, we as a restaurant group, and I'm sure pretty much everybody else out there, are trying to figure out how we can create an experience that is going to both be really safe, but also is going to welcome people back to the brands and the restaurants and the people that they love, but maybe also be something kind of novel and something new. The last thing we want to do right now is to bring people into a restaurant that doesn't feel like what it did before, because that is just not, it's not going to be fun for us. It's not going to be fun for you. We have this amazing, huge parking lot. Wall building, which is where Bizou and parking lot seating, make it like a beer garden, make it like an outside food hall, so people can get food from Bizou, people can get drinks that are inspired by Bang cocktails, people can get LUCE pasta, and then we're also going to have a brand new, awesome kind of backyard cookout inspired, really reasonably priced menu as well. So awesome burgers, fried chicken sandwiches, street corn, summery salads, frozen drinks, beer, wine on tap, stuff for the kids, music. I mean, it's going to be really, really fun. So we've just been pushing really hard to get this up and to get this running. Ooh, those old pictures.
I know. See, you guys look great right there, don't you? I mean, you're live, Laura and Rachel, on 12 Facebook pages right here. Boy, you got the governor announcement on here now. Judah, let's get that off screen. All right, let me throw this question to you. And Laura, this one's going to come to you, okay? Vincent and Tim are like godfathers in the restaurant scene here. When someone like Wilson Ritchie, and Wilson Ritchie's watching, when someone like Wilson Ritchie says, you gotta talk to Vincent and Tim. They made this scene down here. I mean, we obviously gotta give CNO some props. CNO helped create this here, the family behind Sal's Cafe Italia. But Vincent and Tim from the get-go, can you put in perspective the Godfather-esque nature of these two men?
Yeah, I can, because I started working with them when I was 21.
Wow.
I started at Bizou and was the general manager at Bizou for 5 years. I then went to California and had a little hiatus there before coming back and coming right back into the family with Bang and with our then new venture at the Space Downtown. But they are well known within the community. You've already mentioned a couple of restaurants where Dean Maupin from CNO worked with Tim and Vincent at one point. There are so many restaurants in this community that I can't even begin to name them, that are people who have learned and trained under Tim and Vincent. So the Godfather essence of them is so beyond true. And they are family. They are family to me. Rachel is family. It is one big family that we love, and that is why we have been here so long and will continue to be here so long.
Oh, that was such a good take right there. Take that and cut it into a highlight reel for tomorrow's show, please. We're going to play that take right there on tomorrow's show. It was so good. I want to create another highlight reel here with Rachel, and we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but we'll play this highlight reel tomorrow, and it's going to be about the food hall. Okay? I can't wait to get everybody to bombard you guys at this food hall. So you guys are innovating. You realize you have a private parking lot. It's not being utilized, and we need freaking seats, and people feel more comfortable being outside. You take it from there. What can we expect from this food hall beer garden concept?
Well, if everything goes according to plan, lots of Excel sheets and meetings and just getting everybody organized, it will be a well-oiled machine where people will come in. There'll be somebody at the door or the entrance, really, who greets you. If you're trying to have an alcoholic beverage, you'll get a wristband and your ID checked right there. So that's your one sort of interpersonal closest interaction with somebody who will be masked, who will be at appropriate social distance. They're going to assign you a picnic table. We've got like 18 picnic tables that are assembled right now, thanks Tim Burgess in the back lot for all your muscle work back there. And then you'll sit down and you're going to order online on your phone. So you're going to be able to access our menu, which will include stuff from the lot. You'll be able to order from LUCE, a new Bizou summer menu. It'll come inside, we'll expo it, and then you'll have somebody who brings it out on a tray to you. Beverages, food, the works, sets it down on a little side table. We've got lots of old wine barrels, compliments of Michael Schaps and Wineworks, who's loaning them to us. So that's like your server table. So they'll drop the food off. They're not going to touch the table. You grab your food, take the tray away. Got hand sanitizer on the table. We've got multiple bathrooms just short distance off site, so people can come use the bathroom. There's going to be a bathroom attendant who's sanitizing before and after and making sure it's one person or one family group at a time who's in that space. Really trying to cut down on people being too close to each other, but also really having a fun outside feel and just being able to soak it up because it's something new and something that they haven't seen before.
And
it's
it's something that we're craving because we've been so quarantined that we're so excited to get out. This concept is going to crush it. Please turn that into a sizzle reel that we can play tomorrow and blow up across our network for the next couple weeks. Can we get you here involved, Laura? How difficult is it for a group to pivot like this? I mean, it's no easy task. And I think it's also important to emphasize, guys, when you go out to the lot or any restaurant, you got to over tip now because we're legitimately going to a business where their staff is going to have to walk outside on asphalt with masks and gloves on and be hot. So please take care of these people and over tip now more than ever. How hard is it to innovate and change a concept like this?
Well, I won't say it's easy, but it just takes a lot of planning. And we have such a good family dynamic amongst ourselves, and we can have those meetings and talk about logistics and create those procedures and then adapt them to the different locations where we're working, then it comes out pretty seamless when we are working together.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Let me throw this to you. We have questions coming in. Two beautiful and brilliant restaurant minds here on the I Love CVille Show. How about this question? This is a tough question for you guys here. And anyone can handle this question. So you guys, through hard work and through proof of performance, POP, you've been entrusted with general manager responsibilities. Outside of the boss man and the owner, this is the spot people want to work and climb up to. Okay, so here's the question that I have for you. When the reopening is happening, we have this interesting dynamic of how can restaurants continue to operate or move forward when the dining rooms aren't full capacity and the wait staff can't come back and make the money that they're used to. You guys are in a unique position because you know what it's like to grind on the front lines, but you also know what it's like to work alongside ownership and keep a business going and see the macro and big picture. I'm going to get out of your way on this topic because it's such a weird dynamic of how do you staff a restaurant when it's not full, and the restaurant owners want the staff to come back because we eventually want to get the business going in the right direction. Your thoughts on that, ladies?
I can tell you right off the bat that, you sort of almost hit it on the head. The fact that LP and I both have served, as front of house staff, as bartenders, as servers, in addition to being management, we know exactly what the stipulations are that our front of house staff have and the questions that might arise. So we've really tried to be able to have good answers for them. I'll also say we're going from 20 miles per hour doing just takeout at Bizou
to like 1,000.
Yeah. Right. And so in a lot of ways, it's a really good thing because I can be like, guys, it's not just going to be like 2 or 3 of us doing this very, very limited and quiet version of a service, which it really wasn't. So I need all hands on deck. Let's get fired up. Come on back in. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a different format in terms of how we're staffing it, and everybody's going to have a very specific job as opposed to running all over the place. And that's really deliberate. I was like, this is your zone. You are going to be the person who's, pouring the beer, and you're going to kind of stay there. And you are going to be the person who's in charge of the takeout table, because we are still going to offer takeout from all of the restaurants in addition to everything else. You are going to be the expo person who's just sitting at the point of sale and on the phone, getting those orders and facilitating getting them to point A to point B. And you're the food runner. You're just going back and forth one trip at a time. And there's just two people who are doing that. So, I mean, it is about the procedure, it's about communication, and it's about making sure everybody feels excited about the new stuff.
Rachel said it perfectly. What it really comes down to is having that strong management style and having that relationship with our staff so that we are creating procedures that are safe and creating the new positions with the correct duties, and having that management relationship with the staff so that they feel valued and that they feel like this is important to them.
Right, and I'll also add, Tim and Vincent being who they are, super experienced, definitely like Mount Rushmore type figures in this scene. They have strong ideas, they have strong opinions. If we really think that something isn't going to work that they've suggested or that needs to be tweaked, they are listening. They are completely open and receptive to wanting to find whatever middle ground that is that's going to be both lucrative and busy and successful, but also is safe and enjoyable for everybody who's going to be involved. And I think, they have certainly
allowed us to be involved in that process and really just kind of go and run with it, and adapt to how this whole new COVID thing has changed restaurants
forever.
This is obvious. This is going to change us permanently. And we see that and we know that. And from the service end, they have left it in our hands and are trusting us because they trust us.
Great take. Why don't we close on this? And you guys just take over the show. I don't even need to be here. I could watch you guys for an hour talking about restaurants. Let me throw this to you, okay? What is the future of a Charlottesville restaurant?
That's tough. I think the goal needs to be taking whatever identity or ethos or philosophy that really motivated and was the fire underneath your feet before, and finding a new way of bringing that same vibe to the people and to your staff. And it is going to involve painful growth and changes, and sometimes it's not going to be seamless, but that's what your customer base wants. They want to feel the same warmth. They want to feel the same connection. They want to feel like they're being taken care of. And I think for a lot of people, that's going to include feeling really safe and really that we're taking everything seriously, but that we don't take ourselves too seriously.
Love it. What do you think, LP?
We don't want to change the vibe. We want people to still have that vibe if they're visiting Bang or Bizou or getting takeout from LUCE. But we have to do it in a slightly different way, and we'll expand on it. It's honestly a way for us to be more creative and find new things, like us adding the frozen cocktails at Bang. That was not something we had ever done before, and they are incredible.
Yeah, they're so good.
And we're going to stop at this point because how could we?
Right.
And it's that innovation while building on the vibe you already have.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. You guys are amazing. Seriously. And I just got a heads up from our executive producer, Lauren, and she said over 19,000 people have seen the lot graphic so far on the I Love CVille Network. So you guys are going to blow the F up. You guys are so good. We should do this again. Seriously. I'll email you, and then we do this again. What are you thinking, LP?
I think that's great. I just would like to plug once again that Bang is opening tonight with our patio. Tonight is kind of a soft opening, but we have grown our patio. It's larger. It's going to be expanding over the nights, but tonight is our first night, and after tonight, the patio will be open on a nightly basis, and we can't wait to see you.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Ladies, you're awesome. Seriously. Good work.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you. You guys have a good one. Love that interview right there from them. Put the graphic back up, and then we'll get to Bob Schotta. The lot graphic, Judah, not the government graphic. The graphic that's on my Facebook page from the lot. That's going viral on the network right now. Good show, ladies. Great interview. Bob Schotta is coming up, and Bob Schotta is the fireworks coordinator for the city of Charlottesville. 4th of July is less than a month away. Are we going to have fireworks in the city of Charlottesville? Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll have that story with Bob Schotta, the fireworks coordinator, in about 3 minutes. Judah, give me the thumbs up if that graphic's been on. Okay, all right, let's scratch the graphic. That's fine. We'll get to it at the bottom. Let's do this. I want to get to you know what? Let's go to Bob now, and then we'll get to the sizzle reels. Let's go to Bob now. I'm going to reach out to you now, Bob Schotta, if you're watching. I'm Skyping Bob. I want to find out about the fireworks. It's ringing now, J-Dubs. I would be bummed if there's no fireworks on the 4th of July. There's nothing I enjoy more than going to, say, like Dart and Tao and watching the fireworks. Did it last time with my son. Had a couple cold ones and had a phenomenal 4th of July. So we have him on the line, Judah. Can I get your thumbs up if we can welcome Bob Schotta to the program? I'm getting the thumbs up from Judah. Bob, you are live for Charlottesville and Central Virginia. How are you?
How you doing, Jerry?
I'm doing well.
I'm well. How are you?
You have your hands in many things. Charlottesville's lucky to have you, whether it's the Tom Sox, whether it's entrepreneurial vision ideas, whether it's fireworks, whether it's Little League Baseball, whether it's UVA sports. You love this community. And one of the things we've known you for is fireworks, my friend. I'm going to get out of your way. What's happening here?
Yeah, unfortunately, I just got word from the city that the fireworks will not happen at McIntyre Park this year. I kind of suspected that earlier in the year when the city announced that all activities, all softball and everything was going to be off. But frankly, I was probably a little late in trying to come up with some other ideas. I thought, okay, if the city's not going to do it, which is what I was expecting, maybe I can still do it someplace else. So I had this vision of going to Carter's Mountain or one of the very high points in the area and getting a bunch of money and putting on the greatest fireworks show in the history of Charlottesville, because I really think with everything going on in the world, we could use it. Not that fireworks is the elixir for everybody, but it makes me feel great knowing it's our birthday, the country's birthday, and with everything going on with the protests and everything else, I just thought, man, if we could pull that off. I reached out to the fireworks group and said, what would make it a bigger show than last year? And they said, well, it's the size of your shells. I said, last year we spent 15, 20 grand on 4-inch shells. I said, let's go, can we go 20-inch shells? And that's a little too much with my ignorance on fireworks. But I just thought, unfortunately, Carter's Mountain, they've got their own activities going on, and with everybody hurting so much from business and lack of business, asking them to shut down their business for another day so I could light some fireworks off in their mountain. It doesn't make any sense, and I get it. And I've reached out to a few other folks trying to find a high point. The purpose of it being that everybody could see it from up there as far as south of Scottsville and Crozet. Everyone could have seen it if I could have gotten the largest fireworks available, shooting it off from the highest point. I really think that
it would have been so cool.
But yeah, I was going to have drones going from above and watching the fireworks come up and televise that. Now there's probably a producer out there somewhere going, "You can't do that," or that's impossible. And I don't know. I have a vision. And whether it's a realistic vision or not, and apparently it's just not going to come through.
So here's the question, two-part question. Is it not coming through because of fear of spread of COVID, or because no financial resources to finance the fireworks?
I didn't get that. I was just told it wasn't happening. But what I do think is if we announced that we were doing fireworks from McIntyre Park, there would have been too much of a push by the local community to try to come together. And so that brings in the police. Doing it from Carter's Mountain doesn't require police. It still requires fire, and it still requires some logistics. But from a crowd perspective, the crowd would be on the streets, right? Or they'd be in areas and parks like that, and they would have to self-organize and self-maintain distancing and things like that. And I think we can, I think that could have happened. But if you're going to be in the city or a place where the public can get to, it might have been too much of a stretch to assume that it will be done in a way that wasn't going to take a lot of resources. So
when is the last time we have not had fireworks in the city of Charlottesville?
I can't remember it. I mean, I know there's been last year we ran into trouble because a couple of sponsors backed out the last minute. So it was a scramble, and a lot of, Bank of the James and UVA and a lot of local businesses stepped up. This year I was not going to go to the local businesses because it's going to be tough. This year I was going to rely on just local folks who have done well for themselves just to write me private checks to fund this, because it was going to cost a lot more money, despite not having, worry about trash and containment of 4,000 people and things like that. But I had the faith that somebody would step up. But I just can't find a place to do it. So if you know anybody who's got a very high point that's private that would give it to us, I'll start fundraising tomorrow and work with the city and the county, wherever it was, to get the paperwork done. We're past the 30-day restrictions that they put, but I have a feeling
they'd make an exception
like this. They'd make an exception. I'm not going to. They're probably watching, going.
Well, we have there. I mean, there's somebody watching from City Hall. So I don't know. And they jumped on about 2 minutes before the girls came on talking about their outside beer garden, and if they stayed sticky through Bob Schotta talking about fireworks and city funding. So somebody at City Hall is monitoring the beer garden in this fireworks interview here. All right, so can we? I'm entrepreneurial. You're entrepreneurial. Can you go to a private citizen and say you have a high? So here's a good example. Wendell Wood lives up on a mountain in Albemarle County, pretty high up, right up there by. And I'm not saying he would do this, but say Wendell Wood, the owner of United Land Company, says, "All right, Bob, you can come up here and shoot some fireworks off." Does the city allow something like that?
Well, if it's in Albemarle County, the city has no purview over that. And so, and not to say that the city hasn't. I mean, the city gets too much grief. There's a lot of good people over there trying to do a lot for the community. It's just hard. You got a lot of moving parts. So the city's been great through this, and I get it why it can't go on in McIntyre Park. But like Carter's Mountain, if Carter's Mountain could have done it, it's Albemarle County. I would have had to work with the county fire staff, which was great. I reached out to them. They got back to me within 20, 30 minutes. And we talked through it. I filled out the paperwork just in case, but it didn't work out. So if anyone knows Wendell Wood and Wendell wants to give me a call or reach out to your show better, then call me. I will take care of the rest. But I need a space. I need the fire department to be able to review the space to make sure there's enough clear area. Like Flow Automotive, they now own the old Malloy Ford area. And they offered that space up to us. So that's a local guy stepping up, and Sean Ayers, and it was great. But I went straight to the police department, and we did technology today. We did a Google Maps and reviewed it together, and it's just not enough separation between that space and other buildings and where the debris would come down and things like that. So people are trying. People were trying to help me, but. I'm at a loss. I don't know Wendell. I don't know anybody else who own a mountain. But if there's somebody out there that can do it and save fireworks for this year, then I will spend my next how many days we got left? A little less than a month to get it done.
There you go, boys and girls.
At this point in time, I think Boar's Head's going to still have their show. I don't know about Farmington. I don't know about Keswick. So some of the private areas might still have shows that people might be able to drive by and see, but from the perspective of the city, McIntyre Park.
All right, so that's some fresh news right there from the coordinator himself and Bob Schotta. So that's unfortunate. If anyone's watching today's program and wants to get creative or entrepreneurial and do a very good deed for the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County, we're basically asking for your private land to put on a fireworks show, and this private land is going to have some elevation so some people can see this fireworks show. Two more questions for you. You're a well-connected man. Before I ask you if you're bullish or bearish on Charlottesville over the next 12 months, I'm going to ask you that question. Before I do, how about boots on the street? You're a well-connected man, especially in the business community. How's the business community doing? What's the pulse you're hearing out there?
I think the private businesses are all doing well. I think the working from home aspect of things had already started with a lot of folks. Internet, as we all know, in the farther reaches of the county is still a problem. When I had, my consulting business in ISP 20 years ago, I can't believe we're still dealing with the same problems just 5 or 6 miles outside of town. I mean, DSL or Comcast or satellite is all they got. And I don't think it's much better than it was 20 years ago, which is unbelievable. No different than, unfortunately, the race relations. Rodney King's 1992, big riot. I don't think the riots ensued until the police officers were acquitted, but we're having the same conversations 28 years later. I don't get it. But from a technology and business, I think the restaurants are the ones that scare me. I mean, they've taken on the chin. A lot of them have adjusted and are doing well, and some are going under out of just fear. I think what these guys are paying, and not only in downtown, what they're paying for rent, but Stonefield. I have friends who own businesses in Northern Virginia, Reston Town Center, who were telling me that what the rates they were asking in Stonefield were higher than Reston Town Center. And if you've not been to Reston Town Center,
that's beautiful. It's luxury. It's luxurious.
Run. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's phenomenal. And the fact that Stonefield was more expensive, not, like I said, I'm going by what he's telling me. So if someone from Stonefield calls me to say, what you're talking about, that's very possible. But anyway, I think we're going to survive. I think we're going to get, we're going to transition to a new way of doing business, and we'll adjust. And there's a lot of smart people in this town, and a lot of people with big hearts that will, make things get done. It's just, we got to get out of their way. We got to get out of the way for, people who have got creative ideas. Don't restrict them, let them exercise their minds and their technologies and their talents, and get out of the way.
It sounds like you're bullish Charlottesville.
I'm a bullish.
Yeah, why are you bullish? Just because of all that? Because of the people?
We've been through. I've been here 30 years. We've been through a lot of different things. We've been through crashes in the economy of different types. The housing market, where most of our builders went away, and that's unfortunate. But new ones came back, got creative. New stores come up. People get creative. I just think we're resilient. We're a resilient community. We've got all levels of income and creativity out there. I just think if people network and talk, and some of the groups we've always had here as far as networking, getting together and sharing ideas, have always been great. And I think it's going to be tough. It's like the lady said before me, things won't be the same, but I think we're going to be fine.
Bob, you killed it. Judah, let's find a sizzle reel about the news with the fireworks for tomorrow's show. Thank you for your time. If anything materializes, I'll pass it along. Guys, we need some private land with some elevation for a fireworks show in Charlottesville or Albemarle County, because we're getting kiboshed a little bit by the city here. So let's see if we can make that happen. I'm going to reach out to you again, Bob. Thank you for your time. You have a good one.
Thank you, Jerry.
Schotta, boys and girls, very good
You
guy.
too.
If you have private land in Charlottesville or Albemarle County, there's the man that coordinates the fireworks show. He couldn't come up when the last time we hadn't have a fireworks show in Charlottesville. So it's been a really long time. Did he say he'd been in Charlottesville 30 plus years? Okay? I think we as a community can safely social distance during a fireworks show. Heck, we can watch the fireworks shows from our vehicles if we need to. And I agree with him. I think a fireworks show, if executed safely, will bring the community together. It'll give us something to rally around. Judah, if you could, get the Keith Smith sizzle reel ready for us. I'm going to go to that in about 10 seconds. So if you have some private land and you don't mind... And not everybody that's watching the show has to go to your private land. It could be Bob and a couple of people executing the show, so don't expect that everyone's going to be there. It's just we need an elevation point to get the fireworks in the sky for us to enjoy. First time in a long time the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County hasn't had one at McIntyre. Judah, Keith Smith sizzle reel. Give me a thumbs up if you have that one ready to go. So on yesterday's program, and this is very important to emphasize, I referenced a New York Times story. And the New York Times said in the month of March alone, in the month of March 2020 alone, according to the New York Times, more than 55,000 New York City residents have changed or forwarded their address to a new location. More than 55,000 New York City residents have forwarded their address to a new location. It's our prediction that New York City, Philadelphia, Boston, Northern Virginia, and D.C., especially the folks in those communities that have ties to the University of Virginia, whether undergraduate or graduate or family ties, it's our prediction that we are going to have a flood of Yankees hit the Charlottesville housing market as they flood urban for suburban because of COVID fear. Judah, I asked Keith Smith this question on yesterday's show. Interesting. He sees the same thing happening. Play it in 3, 2, and 1. How's the real estate market, my friend?
Pretty rocking and rolling. But I'm going to go backwards for a second, right?
I know I am.
Changed. Yeah, so I crunched some numbers on this weekend, just in this 25-mile radius that we're talking about, and it kind of goes to what you've been talking about earlier in the show about, this northeast corridor coming down. Literally, 38 houses went on the market since Friday to yesterday, and guess what's sold?
Well,
38 houses.
Really?
So it's about as parity, and it's funny because we'll talk about on the second half what kind of sellers market, buyers market, and talk to. It's roughly 6 months of inventory. From COVID to today, we've been averaging 54 days, but the median is 14. So we're not even remotely close. This is a seller's market. If you're selling now, it's time to go ahead and do it. But I'm excited. It takes me a little bit of getting used to it. So thank you for letting me chat with you.
Dude, so a couple things to take from there. You have a pro and the distinguished gentleman in Keith Smith from the Yes Team Realtors who's saying, watch out for this phenomenon. Okay, watch out for this phenomenon happening. Second, did you hear that 38 homes went on the market on Friday, this past Friday? And did you hear that 38 went pending shortly thereafter? 38 homes on the market this past Friday, 38 go pending shortly thereafter. It's a crazy market out there. If you even get a couple thousand folks from Boston or Philly or Northern Virginia or the Big Apple coming down here, even a couple thousand is going to have an impact on a marketplace. Even a couple thousand. Bob Schotta, we have one suggestion from Kelly Jackson, Bob Schotta. She asked if Mosby Mountain would work for your fireworks show. Bob Schotta. Mosby Mountain is on the south side of town, right around the corner of where I used to live, which was Redfields. It has an area in the back called Mountain Valley Farm, which is primo property in Charlottesville. I'd say 4 acres to 25 acres up in Mountain Valley Farm. And Mosby Mountain is a fabulous area. Does that have the elevation is what I'm wondering. If we can do the fireworks show at Mosby Mountain. I wonder if, Kelly, if that has the elevation we need. So, Bob, get back to me on that. Tomorrow's program. I got to go to the calendar here, Judah. What do we have on tomorrow's show before I get out of here? Alex Erpy. Alex Erpy is going to join us tomorrow. We're going to spotlight the Hispanic community tomorrow with Alex Erpy. We're going to do that on tomorrow's program. The guy's big time. I'm very excited for him to join us on the show. I'm going to close on this note because I got a conference call with a VIP here in 13 minutes. I am so impressed with the resilience and the moxie and the heart and the stick-to-itiveness and the big-time thinking of this community. I am so impressed with it. I am so impressed with the lot and what these ladies and doing and Vincent and Tim are doing. Do you have the graphic you could put on screen? It's on screen. We've asked respectfully for City Hall to do something for downtown and midtown, and they've done nothing. Red Pump Kitchen, to put this in perspective, opened their patio a couple of weeks ago, and ownership has now confirmed this with me. I've confirmed with ownership. Red Pump Kitchen opened their patio a couple of weekends ago, tried patio service for a weekend and a Friday the following, and then they threw the towel in and said, there's not enough business here for us to continue to do patio service downtown. Literally threw in the towel. And this is the team behind Pippin Hill. This is the team behind Red Pump. They have a restaurant, I believe, in Charleston as well. Big time deep pockets. Corin Capshaw is even part of this group. Okay? Corin Capshaw is even part of this group. So you have a deep pocketed restaurant that tries something and then throws in the towel because there's not enough business. That undoubtedly is a sign that City Hall and Charlottesville government and our city manager, and I'm talking with you, Dr. Richardson, and I'm talking with the counselors as well, that is undoubtedly a sign that they better do something. And I'm going to go and segue into private citizens saying, you know what, enough is enough. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to create this beer garden and this food hall concept, and we're going to synergize 3 or 4 different brands, The Space, Bang. We're going to synergize LUCE. We're going to synergize Bizou. We're going to vertically integrate this concept. We're going to leverage all our social media. We're going to reach out to Jerry at the I Love CVille Network, who has a massive following, and we're going to do this damn thing ourselves, and we're going to open up and pivot and to heck with local government not supporting us. To heck with it. If you're not going to support, and that's what you're doing, then stay out of our back-end business as well. If you're not going to support, and that's what you're doing, then stay out of our back-end business as well. And maybe that's the libertarian in me coming out, and people that watch this program understand I'm a libertarian. And then the last thing, because it seems to have touched and hit home with some people, I want to dot the I's and cross the T's of what I covered earlier in the program. When I launched this business 12 years ago across coffee shops and hotel lobbies in Charlottesville, when I launched this business 12 years ago, I would bring a computer, a briefcase, and like 3 notepads and a bunch of paper, and I would camp out in a hotel lobby, or I would camp out in a coffee shop for 8 to 10 hours, even see prospective clients, and just basically call it my office. And I was doing that by buying a $4 cup of coffee and then staying the remainder of the time and not even paying for a refill. And I had the opportunity to do this because of the community, but I also don't want to underestimate the value of privilege. It is my hope that the businesses in the community that saw a 20-something in Jerry Miller, it is my hope that those business owners that saw a 20-something-year-old in Jerry Miller launching a company 12 years ago, it is my hope that those people that awarded me the time and the patience of sending 8 hours in one table, it is my hope that those people would have offered the same opportunity if my skin was black. But I'm not sure, and we'll never know. And I close on that because that's an example of privilege. It should not be undervalued because it's undoubtedly something that has benefited me. Think about it. Let's get out of here on that note, okay? This is the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller.